So in the military, since all these goddamn wars started, we've had a problem with veteran suicide. I've sat in on probably 24 suicide stand-downs that the military gives, and sometimes they bring in some contractors, and it's all the same bullshit. All right, they talk about risk factors and watch your buddy and call this number, and it really hasn't done anything to lower the suicide rate among males. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Now, I've watched almost all of the briefings. I like them all right? And this one hits really close to home for me because I was almost a victim of my own self-deletion. I'll go into detail later when I tell my story. But let us begin here. All right, we're going to go through the numbers here. All right, now this is per 100,000 meat suits. The dudes with a P-Nice, an Audi, Peg D, whatever. Now, this one goes down to age 10 to 14, it's 3.1. Suicides per 100,000. I feel sorry for the kid who got like his leg sawed off to make the 0.1. You got 15 to 24, 22, 25 to 44, 28, 45 to 64, 29.9. We're going to round it up to 30. We'll just take a leg off another guy. He'll be all right. All right, and then we have 65 to 74, 26. And we get to age 75 and over, it goes way up to 39.9. We'll round that up to 40. Now I'm going to talk about that one a little bit more in detail. Listen, I'm a death with dignity kind of guy, okay? I'm not going to say, hey, suicide is bad no matter what, because let me say, it's not. If you're over 75 and you are losing grasp on reality, or you have a really bad diagnosis that's gonna lead somewhere very bad, I understand that. I understand the fact that you just want to leave your keys at the desk and check out. Got it. All right, I'm not talking about those guys. All right, those guys make rational decisions for the most part. It is what it is. Now, between the ages of 15 and 74, you see how the numbers are very close. So there's something going on in these age brackets between 15 and roughly 74. All right? We're going to go into detail what that is. A lot of it has to do with the system that we have going on now and how deep it goes and just how goddamn evil it is. All right? So, the average male to female suicides is 24 to 6. Fatal outcomes 80% to 20% or 4 to 1. That proves men are just better at it. They don't fuck around. That's just the way it is. Is this dark humor? Yes, it is. All right, that's the way I handle shit. So we're going to talk about what's going on and why. All right, you see here, this is the percentage of suicide deaths by methods in the United States. I was going to add some more slides for like England, Australia, and Canada. But, since they follow our lead, we're going to use this slide. Not that I don't care about those guys. I want to shorten this so it's not super long. All right, you have other poisoning, suffocation, firearm. Poisoning is some kind of pills. Usually sleeping pills or a barbiturate mixed with alcohol. That leads to a shutdown of the meat suit. Suffocation is hanging, and Epstein didn't kill himself. All right, and then you have the firearms. If you look at that number, it's 55.9 to 31.5. It's 2 to 1. So what you can glean from that is when men do it, they're not fucking around. They are done. All right, here we got over the past years of prevalence of suicide attempts. Now, these are the people who attempt suicide and fail. I'm going to talk about the left side here. I'm not going into race because, that's just going into the weeds a little too deep. You see here, females 0.7, male 0.4. Females attempt it twice as much as men. One of the main reasons for that, it's a cry for help. All right? I don't understand why they don't just do a cry for help, but, who am I? I'm a dude. I don't understand what they think anyway. All right, now here's the ages. 18 to 25, it's 1.8, which is 3 times higher than the next bar, which is 0.6, which the age is 26 to 49, and then it drops down to 50 plus, where the older people, they don't attempt it, they're done, it's the way it is. All right, now I'm going to give you a reality check of how the world works here for men here in the Western world. 50% of all first marriages will end in divorce. I call these individuals naive because they think, she's different. She loves me. She's a unicorn. She might be a unicorn, but when you get to divorce court, that horn is going up your ass. All right. 63% of all second marriages fail, and I call these people stupid. I'm serious. You got your ass beat. They took half your shit. What do? You get right back in line to do it again. Third marriages, 73% of those end in divorce. 80% of the time, the woman files for divorce, and 90% of the time, the dude is caught completely unaware, even after it's happened 2 and 3 times. You think he'd be like, I lost half my shit, and the half that I had left, I lost half of that. Maybe I should pay attention. I don't know. It's just me. Huh? All right. Of the 85% of the time, the mother gets full custody of the kids. All right, which I really don't understand. If the man is the primary breadwinner, they give the kids to the mother who can't support them. Why do they do that? My guess, money. It's the root of all evil. This is an evil system. There you have it. You heard it here first. Now, of the 15% of the time where the man gets custody of his children, now I figured this out by, going to Oakland County, Wayne County, Macomb County, and spending many a day watching divorce proceedings and kind of figured it out. That 7% of the time, the mother doesn't even show up. All right? So you back that out, the man's getting custody of his kids 8% of the time. 8%. Let that sink in there. That's horse shit. Oh, God, I didn't want to swear. All right. Now, another thing women like to do, and I think they're kind of goaded on by their attorneys, especially if they think it's not going to go their way. The claims of abuse and sexual abuse, I call those the nuclear option, because it will almost always put the children in the care of the mother until they figure it out and investigate it, but they almost never reverse that decision, even if it's false or unfounded, which is a political correct term for saying false. They just don't want to tell. They don't want to look at the woman and go, hey, it's unfounded. They don't want to say, hey, bitch, you fucking lying. They don't want to say that. I would, but, I'm not a judge. All right, now, if you get hit with child support, it'll take you 3 to 5 attempts to get it lowered, or even just get a consideration to get it lowered. And in between, it's going to take 3 to 6 months to get a new court date. Because what you do is you file, you go in front of a magistrate who always nukes the dude, and then you have to appeal, go to the judge. So when you go through this 3 to 5 times, the clock keeps ticking on your child support. So say you break your leg and you can't work, the clock is still ticking. All right, you get laid off. Some crazy ass shit goes on in your life. You get cancer. It takes 5 attempts to get your child support lowered. Guess what? That could be a year and a half. Now your child support arrearages, they're $5,000 more. Now in most states, $5,000 is grounds to charge you with a felony. So they can put you in big boy jail. This isn't like county jail or some bullshit. I've talked to a lot of guys that this has happened to. And those arrearages, the judge cannot, in most states, lower those. So let that sink in. All right, now we're going to go through the risk factors for self-deletion here. All right. This is pretty generic. I've seen this a bazillion times. All right, now, since we have kids, there are kids in the suicide stats, I'm going to go through all of these. Being bullied at school, college, and work, a divorce, a relationship breakdown, and the funny thing is when I got that one off on this list and I cross-referenced it to England, their pie chart has 12% of the people committing suicide or going through a divorce. That's horseshit. All right. The history of physical and sexual abuse. All right. Imprisonment. Loss of a loved one through trauma and disease. Mental illness, particularly depression, or any other type of debilitating illness. Not being able to sustain meaningful relationships. Social isolation. Unemployment, using drugs and alcohol. I'm a fan of alcohol, what can I say? This is just some of the risk factors. I think we have another slide of these. Okay, from the research. From my research, 70% of these suicides have a failed relationship or a divorce somewhere in their past. All right, this needs to be studied by the government. They can do a much better job than I did, because back when I was going through my dilemma, whenever I heard about soldier suicide, I would Google that soldier or that service member's name. I would see if there was a write-up or an obituary. I would copy it, paste it onto a Word doc, and then do find and search for divorce, estrangement, stepkids, because all of those words go right back to divorce and separation. All right, now the divorce and breakup, this is a given. Loss of a loved one through trauma or disease. All right, now listen. You go from having your kids 7 days a week, 24/7, 365. Some woman says she's not happy, and now you see your kids 2 days to 4 days a month. The mind works the same way for everyone. That will be processed as a death. And I don't know, the psychologists out there, they don't seem to understand that. I'm not a psychologist, but I went through it myself, and that's exactly how it is. All right, mental illness. All right, men get very depressed when this happens. Think about it. You get married. You're in it to win it like I was. Right? You want to have the family, the picket fence, the house, the 2 cars, the 1.5 dogs, and 3/4 of a cat. In Zombieland, that's your house. And all of a sudden, boom, they pull the rug out from underneath you, and a lot of times, most men will go through periods of homelessness after a divorce. Either from financially or they're kicked out of their own house and nowhere else to go. All right, now the depression here, I already talked about the cycle of the continuing loss. And it goes on for years, because I literally would have my kids, and then I would drop them off, and I would be bummed out for a good 3 or 4 days. It got better as time went on, but even to this day, it still hits home. Not being able to sustain meaningful relationships. When you're divorced and they're taking 40, 50, 60, up to 70% of your pay for child support, alimony, and medical insurance, which is fucking expensive, you have no time. You have to work a second job or overtime You need to hustle, have a side gig, but time equals money. All right? There's only 24 hours in a day, and that's just the way it is. So you don't have time to go out and make these friendships and other relationships because you're a slave. Straight up. Social isolation, living alone, is a direct result of number 4. You don't have time. You live by yourself. A lot of women are not going to get with a dude that's poor. You know, you don't see a lot of poor guys walking around with hot chicks or fat guys walking around with hot chicks unless the fat guy has a lot of money. I'm just saying. Whore. All right, now you add in PTSD, substance abuse, and no goddamn support system for men. I mean, it's a goddamn crash-up derby of coffins going on out there, and nobody's talking about it. Now, this one, number 7, happened to me. Total disillusionment with the government. All right, I did all that time in the Army. I believed in the country. I thought, the Constitution was in play and what have you. And, I thought my service, the court would go, easy on me. Didn't happen. I got crucified just like everyone else in the room and everyone else that I've seen go into divorce court. All right, now we're going to talk a little bit more into these risk factors. You see what I'm doing here is there's a stacking going on of causation that they don't want to talk about. All right, these things are piling up on the backs of men today, and they're breaking. All right, especially on the veteran side, they have all of the usual bullshit that happens to men, and they got PTSD, and maybe they have health issues like I do from serving their country. On top of all of that, it's a heavy weight. What would you say here? I mean, what do we call a bully? Like some guy at school like takes your lunch money and then kicks you in the teeth? All right, that's bad when you're a kid. But, you have a court system. It can throw you in jail at a whim, charge you whatever the hell they want, violate your constitutional rights, and you have no recourse whatsoever. You are out there flapping. Now, I'm trying to be funny here, but it's pretty effed up here. All right, imprisonment. I already talked about the $5,000 and the felony thing. You don't pay, you're going to jail. They can hold you for up to 90 days per incident. I know a guy who does about 120 days a year in jail because they wanted him to pay an incredible absorbent amount that he could no longer pay because he lost his job, and then he tried to get it reduced, which he was successful, but you still had the arrearages. And literally, there was a couple times he'd get out of jail, go to the courthouse, and like literally go into the judge's chambers and go, I ain't fucking paying it, throw me back in jail. Boom, another 90 days. That does happen. All right, unemployment. All right, so the court can take your professional licenses and your driver's licenses if you can't afford to pay your child support. How are you going to keep a job? Say you're a forklift driver. Not only do you have to drive to the plant to get there for the job, but you have to have a license to operate the heavy equipment. They pull both of those. Why is that plant going to keep you employed? They're in the business to make money. There you go. All right. Now, this is another weird trend I've seen. From 1950 to roughly 2018, 2019, the average suicide rate for men went from 18 to 28 per 100,000. And at the same time, no-fault divorce started gaining popularity. Starting in 1953, and by 1977, it was basically a law in all 50 states. All right, we're going to play the videos up here. Now, I made these videos, and I'll tell you the story behind them when we get done. I remember the letter I got from my wife while I was in Iraq. She said she wasn't happy.
Others came home to a hero's welcome. I came home to the echo of an empty house.
I lived with my children for 8 years.
I raised them when my wife worked.
I fought for joint custody.
I was called a murderer and an assassin in front of a judge.
Why should I miss out on raising my children just because she isn't happy?
I make $45,000 a year. She makes 40.
After taxes, child support, child care, health care, I have $18,000 a year left to live on.
I followed the rules. I went to the so-called friend of the court for some relief.
They just said, it's the law.
Then I got laid off from work. I went there again, 4 times. Showed them the paperwork. And each time they told me I was in skilled trades and it should be easy for me to find a job.
I guess they don't live in the real world. I had to pay the child support with my 401k.
10 years I saved for my retirement. She got half, and the rest got spent to keep me out of jail.
Then the money ran out. She's not happy, so now I live in poverty.
The court has no problem slapping me in jail when I can't pay my child support, but she hasn't let me see my kids for a year, and when I go in front of a judge 6 times, all she gets are warnings.
She's not happy, so now I can't see my children.
Because she's not happy, I'm a felon.
Because she is not happy, now I must go to prison.
I got called up to go to war for my country.
I got sent 7,000 miles away to bring freedom to those oppressed.
Now my country has stripped me of my children.
Now my country has forced me into poverty and servitude.
Now my country has turned me into a criminal and has doomed me to prison.
All because she was not happy.
I don't deserve this.
All right. That's the brutal truth right there. And hopefully you guys like that. I myself thought it was really good, and it was the first project we worked on with Blake, and he knocked it out of the goddamn park. Now this next one, this particular one didn't happen to me exactly. For a little while it did. A lot of servicemen, they get divorced. Most, in fact, you know, in my 33 years, I know maybe 2 couples that are together from when I first came in to today. The rest have been divorced. These guys have kids, they get divorced, the woman just leaves the state, and he has to go to his next duty station. Maybe she made some bullshit up, got him, you know, restraining order so he can't see his kids. And how is he going to fight it? Because he's, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of miles away. So a lot of these guys, you know, every holiday and birthday, they buy their kid presents, and they set them aside in a room on the outside chance that one day when these kids become adults, they'll get to give them all their shit that they didn't get when they were growing up. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Alexa. Happy birthday to you. I love you, baby. I hope to see you soon. The bike you'll never ride. The bed you'll never sleep in. The room you'll never see. The father you'll never know. The father I was never allowed to be. All right, that's some of the videos we did in the beginning when I started secondclasscitizen.org, which is a nonprofit. As you can see, those are incredibly brutal videos, and I could not, in good conscience, keep doing that for the rest of my life. It's just a recipe for disaster. All right, my story. Allegedly, so I want to put that out there so I don't get sued. So, yeah, I was married, National Guard, worked as a finance guy, doing mortgages. Got the mole border to go to Iraq, and I was a member of Company F425, Airborne Infantry, long-range reconnaissance. So, you know, it is what it is. I packed up my shit, and I kissed my kids and my wife goodbye. Little did I know it would be for the last time for a while. And I went to war. You know, it was a fucking war. You know, you got mortared. It was crazy. It is what it is. And then on August 28th, 2004, 3 clicks south of a city called Ramadi in the country of Iraq, roughly, I think it was 3:30-ish in the afternoon. My vehicle was hit with a roadside bomb, which consisted of 40 to 60 kilograms of whatever they had to blow up, similar to C4 or RDX. And it hurt me quite badly. I didn't know how bad at first. I had the headaches and the confusion and, numb spots on, but I sucked it up until August 31st of that same year. I woke up with the left side of my face drooping and suffering from stroke-like symptoms. So a week later, around November 6th or 7th, I got medevaced out of Iraq to Germany. And I had to do the long process of rehabilitation. Now, a head injury is probably one of the worst things you could suffer. I would say the worst things. It's like the top 5 or 6. Because the thinking meat behind your eyeballs and between your ears who makes you who you are is not working the way it used to work. And it never will again. So I came home, did my deal, tried to get back into the finance world, but they were having the real estate bubble burst, and I couldn't get anything going, no traction. And my now ex-wife, in her mind, drew a line through my name. I got the "I'm not happy" speech, and off to the races I went. Now in court, I was called a murderer and an assassin. I knew it was going to go very poorly for me, and it did. Fortunately, later on I was able to get, a good amount of time with my kids, but that cost a lot of money and a lot of time. I had PTSD, physical problems, I had the monkey on my back, all this bullshit, my world had been crushed. I really couldn't find a job, but I was basically getting hammered for the child support. I did find a job with Edward Jones, but just starting out, the money that they give you to for expenses, I had like $100 to live on. So I lived out of my car for like 6 months, unemployed or homeless. Now, luckily I had a car, but because I would stay in there 3 to 4 nights a week. And then I would go to a buddy's house, sleep on the couch for a day, shower up. You don't want to be a burden on anyone. It's the way it is. And fortunate for me, I had a lot of pull, and they got me back in the Army. And I'd been working at my job for about a year, and I, still going through all the horse shit with my kids and stuff. And that was it for the Popster, man. I literally was planning my exfil off this mortal coil. I mean, I'd planned it out, and I picked a day. It was like maybe 5 or 6 days away when a former commander of mine came to see me. I was his platoon sergeant when he was a brand new lieutenant. I basically squared his shit away. And he came back to thank me for everything I did for him, even though in my eyes I was just doing my job. And what I didn't know at the time, he came there to say goodbye to me, but I didn't see it. I couldn't see it. 4 days later, a day or two before I was planning to do my deal, he killed himself virtually identically to how I had planned it. He put on his greens. He went to the Holly National Cemetery, took out his 9mm, boom. My location was a little different. In hindsight, he did pick a place with a better view. So, basically, that major took the bullet that was meant for me. And not only did that happen, I basically was told, you knew him, you were friends with him, you're running his funeral. So, I had put together and train the rifle team, the flag folding team, do the rehearsals, set sentries at the funeral home for like 2 days before the ceremony and actual church service and burial. So I had a front row center seat to, the pain and misery inflicted on his friends and family and servicemen that he served with. And that totally changed my tune. And I said, I'm not doing that. And I had, maybe it was the universe kicking me in the ass, I don't know, but I realized that the light of hope had been blown out within me, right? And hope is what most men, or any human, uses to navigate against in times of darkness. And that was gone. So I did what I did, and I started the second-class citizen to combat male suicide, and that video, I got a lot of negative attention from the higher-ups in the Army, and they tried to tell me that my stats were wrong, even though on the ground that's exactly how they were. So as time progressed, I decided that I couldn't use the negative tools anymore. And in my mind, everything is war. Everything. If it can cause pain, fear, or death, it's war. The court uses love against you and that fear of losing your kids. That is monumentally some of the evilest shit I've ever seen. Anything that has the power to destroy love needs to be eradicated. And that's what I'm trying to do. Now, like I said in the beginning, you get a lot of the, have your buddy watch you, call a number kind of stuff. You got to change your mindset, man. And I made an acronym for it. CHILL. It stands for being calm, higher level intelligence, latitude, laughter, and the final L that I didn't put on there, live out of goddamn spite. Now, in the beginning, when this happens, you're going to be angry, you're going to hate, it's going to be unbelievable, just the seething rage within you, right? And when you're operating like that, whenever you let anger or hate touch the steering wheel, it always drives you to ruin. So you have to remain calm. I'm not saying get rid of the anger and hatred, because Lord knows I have not, nor will I ever. But in my mind, when I was recovering from the head injury, I had to redo my software and my thinking meat. I basically have assigned anger and hatred to the boiler room, and all I ever do is shovel coal into the fire to give me drive. But the higher, calm, logical mind touches the steering surfaces of me. Now, you got to remember that, because you make irrational goddamn decisions in the moment, and people are hurling themselves off of objects, they're hanging themselves, they're shooting themselves. And here's another phenomena. I've seen many, many servicemen start the divorce process, and then they die in some accidental way, like alcohol poisoning, or they drive their motorcycle at 160 miles into a viaduct, or they get hit by vehicles. I mean, some of it's pretty bad, and I have a saying, people will love you less if you cause or make a mess, so be polite if you're going to do that. I'm not encouraging, but I'm just saying, I've seen some pretty egregious shit. Use your intelligence, all right? You can use your intelligence to adapt and overcome. For instance, I know a couple dozen guys who are getting creamed in child support. The guy had a trade license. He was a plumber. He opened his own plumbing business. And he subcontracted his services to his former employer. And then he juggled his books like Bozo the Clown. So he no longer had to pay, I think he was paying like $2,300 a month. He got it knocked down to like $900 to $1,000, which still a little on the high side, but it's manageable for most middle-class guys. Lateral thinking. All right, now in the military, you come up against an obstacle, you go through it, under it, around it, over it. You need to be able to maneuver around the obstacles, because the obstacles that stand in front of you in regards to the divorce court industry, by yourself, you really can't do anything about it. All right, you're just going to have to, pull a Barry Sanders and run yourself through the line and get a touchdown at the end of the game. All right, now I already said live out of spite. All right, don't ever allow anyone to push you to the point where you're going to choose a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Now, the last one is laughter. Now, all of the servicemen here know, because when the nature of the beast, there's all of the crazy wazoo crap, the hurry up and waits, the last second equipment changes, mission switches. You have incompetent people, cowards, what have you. And to adapt in that world, you have to maintain your sense of, I almost said it, humor. But, and the servicemen have this tool, but they're so caught up in the anger and hatred, they forget about it. Because I can't tell you how many times I hadn't eaten in 3 days. I'm on my last half quart of water. I got 11 miles to go. Everyone is pissed off and tired. And it's like some guy will drop a big meat fart, and I'm like, yeah, that's good, yeah. And we just drive the hell on. All right? Listen, laughter will stumble evil, stop the devil, and beat back pain. That's why pain looks good on other people, and most of the comedians have a background with a lot of pain. Now, here's some tactics we can do. When you get caught in this situation, you can play the long game. All right, so whatever the problem is that you have that's pushing you towards this horrible outcome, use time. Look, bureaucracy takes a lot of time. Getting things done, starting businesses takes time. All right? You got to play the long game. All right? Yeah, you're getting your ass kicked. You're in the first quarter. You're down by 16 points, but you got 3 quarters to go. Plus a halftime where you can get a good speech maybe, or a blowjob at the Shake It Club. Be willing to fight. All right? Don't take shit lying down. No one has the right to do that kind of shit to you, especially if you let them. That's what I did. I had my ex-wife in court every 22 days for almost 2 years. I wore her ass down. The long game, attrition. I wound up getting 3 weekends a month with my kids. Yeah. Next one, fight dirty. Listen, this whole system is just raw evil. It has no problem throwing you in a cage or throwing you into a grave and then putting the dirt on you. They're not playing fair. They're not following the Constitution. They're dishonorable cads, ass bags, whatever you want to call them. Then why I can't tell you how many guys I've actually counseled on this. Oh, I'm going to take the high road. I'm like, no, you're not. You're going to go for the jugular. You're going to show no goddamn mercy. This is a war. Yeah, at one point you did love her, but now she's your enemy, and you should treat her with all the rights and privileges that title conveys. Now, I'm working on a webinar, me and Blake, I've written it up, called Administrative Violence. Can't go into it here because it's like 2 hours long. And that's going to cover administrative violence for divorce in the corporate world and the military. You know, once we add on all the sections. You guys will love it. All right, now you have to change your focus and perspective. Many people lock themselves into the cage of their own mind. Once this happens, like, oh God, I gotta, the whip is cracking, they'll throw me in jail, and they just put their head down, they don't fight, and they just go forward until, you know, they die. But if you step back and look at the battlefield, you'll be able to use the latitude to maneuver and your higher level of intelligence to make calm, rational plans. Calm, rational plans almost never go to the final option unless you're over 75, you got bone cancer diagnosis, and you're gonna ride it out as long as you can. It is what it is. Leapfrog your fighting. You gotta break down the war into pieces. If you go in there and you're like, I gotta fight this goddamn, this behemoth of a beast, I can't do it. But I could kick that kid's ass over there. I think I'll kick that kid's ass first and I'll work my way up to you. You gotta break it down. Last but not least, never surrender. They will try to break you. Don't let them. And I know it's like, oh, that's easier said than done. Sergeant Popp, oh my God. Listen, I can't tell how many times I had my ass kicked, thrown in the dirt, told you can't do it, you're not strong enough, you're not fast enough, you don't have enough endurance, you can't swim, wah, wah, wah. And I said, sorry, I'm not quitting. You can't make me quit. That's why I wear a skull on the hat here. That's my right limit. Most people stop at pain. I stop at death. All right, now this one here is tricky. Know when you win. I know guys, their kids are now in their 20s and they're still fighting in their own head. Okay, I get it, I really do, but you need to know when to stop. Once you've got your goals, or you got it as best as you can, call it a day. Get on with your life. Eat a steak, jump out of a plane, bang bitches in Thailand, go fishing, shoot a bear. No, don't do that. There's not that many left. I'm just saying, in 1920, shoot a bear. All right, now, this is the last video. You guys will like this. And this is now what I do. I use a lot of comedy and humor. Because indirectly, using comedy and humor, I am flipping switches in your thinking meat, giving you wisdoms and lessons so you can be better men. Now, this particular video, I did a video called 500 Miles of Mr. Right, and I got a hate mail from a fan who read me the riot act and said, you know, it's physically impossible for a woman to get 500 miles of dick run through in her lifetime. Challenge accepted. I don't really sleep, so I screw with people. It's like a hobby. I get on Craigslist and I go to LA and New York City. I go to the Women Looking for Men and I pick fights with these ladies and send them ridiculous videos. And some of the responses I get back are hilarious. And this is one of them. From Mary Endeavors Eternally at I'mNotGonnaTellYou.com.
You are an idiot and a fool. Your numbers are fabricated and you pull them out of your ass.
Well, yes and no.
I can't believe people subscribe to your rants and foolish endeavors. In regards to 500 miles of Mr. Right, it is physically impossible for a woman to accomplish this, and it is completely fabricated. And the number 500 miles you pulled out of nowhere.
Nowhere? I know where. Bend over and I'll show you.
Furthermore, you are not a mathematician nor a scholar, and any calculations you do will be unprovable at best.
Bitch, challenge accepted, baby. Let us begin. Are we good? We're good. All right. It's going to get ugly up in here. Google all this. Average penis size while erect. 4 to 7 inches. I went with the number 6. This is half of 1 foot. Dick by the foot. Average ejaculate size between 1 and 5 milliliters. I took an average of 3 milliliters. Tablespoon or half a shot of NyQuil. It's not really that much, but math works. It adds up, and in the end, it's brutal. Average length of a sexual encounter, 14 minutes. You mad minute men out there and 2-minute tigers, you make us all look good. You know, I'm being kind of conservative on this number of 30 strokes a minute because some guys go a lot faster and some of you go way slower, you 2-pump chumps out there. Inches in a mile, 63,360. I can drive a Volvo through your vulva. Sexual activity years, 13 to 50. I know some of them start at 13. They can start later and go later. It is what it is. This is really just a conservative estimate. Average sexual encounters a week is like 1 to 3. For purposes here, we use 2. Milliliters per gallon, 3,785.4. All right, the math is pretty simple. No craziness here. This is wrong on so many levels. Who does this? Oh yeah, Popp the crazy guy does. You take 14 minutes, times it by 30 in and outs. You come up with a number of 420 in and outs per session. You can get to 500 miles a lot quicker if it's 10 inches long. You multiply 420 in and outs by 12 inches because you have to have the in and out because that's how this whole thing works. You come up with 5,040 inches per encounter. And I actually came up with that in my sleep because I was so disturbed by this email. I actually thought about it in my dreams. Dick by the foot would be a better title. How many inches are in a mile? I divide that number by 5,040, 12.57 SEs per mile. All right, so once you can figure out 1 mile, you can figure out 500. 12.57 SEs multiplied by 500 miles, 6,285 sexual encounters between 13 and 50 equal 500 miles. Man, that's a lot of sex. Or is it? That's 37 years, 6,285, and I divided it by 37, 169.88 sexual encounters per year, which is really feasible. It's 1 day on, 2 days off. Is it in? I don't know. 6,285, and I multiplied that by 3 milliliters, 18,855 milliliters of Richard salad. Gonorrhea! No. You're drowning your salad. 18,855 divided by 3,785 milliliters, which is in a gallon. 4.98 gallons of Richard salad. Kind of got a low-grade nausea going on because I'm envisioning 5 gallons going into 3 orifices, which equals basically 100 miles to the gallon. If your vag is a con, it outsell a piece. If you're not satisfied with the number of 4.98 gallons of Richard salad, can you imagine your girlfriend showing up to go to bed wearing a raincoat and having an umbrella? Don't worry. Here at Ridiculous, we've got visual aids. Winning!
Hey, my vagina is 8 miles wide. Absolutely everyone can come inside.
Oh yeah. And yeah, a whole lot of Richard salad here. But this one here, don't worry about this one, because you're drinking that one. It's going in slot A. Oh yeah.
Listen to the sloshing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's still going. Hope that tasted good. A little salty. That's just wretched. This one here, this is a mane and tail because it's going in your hair, on your face, back and belly. So here we go. Yeah. Your hair looks so shiny. It has such good body. Your skin is so smooth.
You got it on my face.
Healthy hair and body, baby. This one's going in the slot C. Oh yeah, there we go. Does the body good. Now you gotta be careful now because this 2.5 gallons This is where your 2 fornication trophies come in. Fornication trophies are more than just ones that you put in a car seat. They could be the ones you're trying to cure with penicillin, injections, unicorn blood, what have you. Oh, it's spilling out. It's spilling out. Oh. If you're a dude and you can fire that all at once, you drowned her. This is the 2.5 fortification trophies. 2.5. Dick by the foot. Yeah. You see, you can shake, you can wiggle, and you can dance. But the last half a gallon is going in your pants. This one's going in the slot beat. You're like a Pinto explode on rear impact. You can say it, no, I don't ever do that. You sure you don't. Here we go. Oh, I'm going. It's what they call it? It's like tentacle porn bukkake. I don't even know what that is. It's terrible. Yeah, now I know how Sasha Grey feels. I love you, baby. Okay, now what does that equate to? 500 miles of cock it runs through them, 6 to 8 inches at a time. Boom, beer me. Oh my God, this is so nasty and wrong. Anyway, everybody, this is freedarklist.com. Challenge accepted. Mathematically proved 500 miles of Mr. Right is totally plausible. And I measured out the gallons of cum. Edit that out. Nice enough. Oh, God.
Absolutely everyone can come inside. If you're ever frightened, just run and hide.
See, I told you the visual thing is just going to put it
You
out.
don't want to feel it to the rib. Yeah, you do.
Oh my God. That is funny. Dick by the foot. Oh man, I don't even want to go there and add up all the gallons of all the fluids between both people at once. And oh, you got that spilling in my face?
I got it.
Oh, I'm going.
Gigantic, a big, big love. Gigantic, 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 a big, big love.
All right. Apparently, I ran over my time, but you can see using humor like that is way more healthy than the negative ones in the beginning. So there's no time left for question and answers, but I'll be walking around. You can talk shit to me, whatever. Tell you hate my shit. I don't care. All right? Take it easy. Is it good? Is it good? I don't really sleep, so I screw with people. It's like a hobby. I get on Craigslist and I go to LA and New York City. I go to the women looking for men and I pick fights with these ladies and send them ridiculous videos. And some of the responses I get back are hilarious. And this is one of them. From Mary Endeavors Eternally at I'mNotGonnaTellYou.com.
You are an idiot and a fool. Your numbers are fabricated and you pull them out of your ass.
Well, yes and no.
I can't believe people subscribe to your rants and foolish endeavors. In regards to 500 miles of Mr. Right, it is physically impossible for a woman to accomplish this, and it is completely fabricated. And the number 500 miles you pulled out of nowhere.
No where? I know where. Bend over and I'll show you.
Furthermore, you are not a mathematician nor a scholar, And any calculations you do will be unprovable at best.
Bitch. Challenge accepted, baby. Let us begin. Yeah! Are we good?
Very good.
All right. It's going to get ugly up in here. Googled all this. Average penis size while erect. 4 to 7 inches. I went with the number 6. This is half 1 foot. Dick by the foot. Average ejaculate size between 1 and 5 milliliters. I took an average of 3 milliliters. Tablespoon or half a shot of NyQuil. It's not really that much, but math works. It adds up, and in the end, it's brutal. Average length of a sexual encounter, 14 minutes. Oh, you mad minute men out there and 2-minute tigers, you make us all look good. Winning! You know, I'm being kind of conservative on this number of 30 strokes a minute because some guys go a lot faster and some of you go way slower, you 2-pump chumps out there. Inches in a mile, 63,360. I can drive a Volvo through your vulva. Sexual activity years, 13 to 50. I know some of them start at 13. They can start later and go later. It is what it is. This is really just a conservative estimate. Average sexual encounters a week is like 1 to 3. For purposes here, we use 2. Milliliters per gallon, 3,785.4. All right, the math is pretty simple. No craziness here. This is wrong on so many levels. Who does this? Oh yeah, Popp the crazy guy does it. You take 14 minutes, times it by 30 in and outs. You come up with a number of 420 in and outs per session. You can get to 500 miles a lot quicker if it's 10 inches long. You multiply 420 in and outs by 12 inches because you have to have the in and out because that's how this whole thing works. You come up with 5,040 inches per encounter. And I actually came up with that in my sleep because I was so disturbed by this email. I actually thought about it in my dreams. Dick by the foot would be a better title. How many inches are in a mile? I divide that number by 5,040, 12.57 SEs per mile. All right, so once you can figure out 1 mile, you can figure out 500. 12.57 SEs multiplied by 500 miles, 6,285 sexual encounters between 13 and 50 equal 500 miles. Man, that's a lot of sex. Or is it? That's 37 years, 6,285, and I divided it by 37, 169.88 sexual encounters per year, which is really feasible. It's 1 day on, 2 days off. Is it in? I don't know. 6,285, and I multiplied that by 3 milliliters, 18,855 milliliters of Richard salad. Got her in! Oh. You're drowning your salad. 18,855 divided by 3,785 milliliters, which is in a gallon. 4.98 gallons of Richard salad dressing. Kind of got a low-grade nausea going on because I'm envisioning 5 gallons going into 3 orifices, which equals basically 100 miles to the gallon. If your vag was a car, it'd outsell a Prius. If you're not satisfied with the number of 4.98 gallons of Richard salad, can you imagine your girlfriend showing up to go to bed wearing a raincoat and having an umbrella? Don't worry. Here at Ridiculous, we've got visual aids. Winning!
Hey, my vagina is 8 miles wide. Absolutely everyone can come inside.
Ooh, oh yeah. Uh-huh. And, yeah. A whole lot of Richard salad here. But this one here, don't worry about this one. Because you're drinking that one. It's going in slot A. Oh, yeah.
Listen to the sloshing.
Oh, yeah.
This is all in your mouth.
Yeah, it's still going. Hope that tasted good. A little salty. That's just wretched. This one here, this is a mane and tail because it's going in your hair, on your face, back and belly. So here we go. Yeah. Your hair looks so shiny. It has such good body. Your skin is so smooth.
You got it on my face. Healthy
Healthy hair and body, baby.
hair and body, baby.
Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. Healthy hair and body, baby. This one's going in the slot C. Oh yeah, there we go. Does the body good. Now you gotta be careful now, because this 2.5 gallons, this is where your 2 fortification trophies come in. Fortification trophies are more than just ones that you put in a car seat. They could be the ones you're trying to cure with penicillin, injections, unicorn blood, what have you. Oh, it's spilling out. It's spilling out. Oh. If you're a dude and you can fire that all at once, you drowned her. This is the 2.5 fortification trophies. 2.5. Dick by the foot. Yeah. You see, you can shake, you can wiggle, and you can dance. But the last half a gallon is going in your pants. This one's going in the slot B. You're like a Pinto, explode on rear impact. You can say it. No, I don't ever do that. You sure you don't. Here we go. Oh, I'm going. It's spilled in me. Oh, God. What they call it? It's like tentacle porn bukkake. I don't even know what that is. It's terrible. Yeah, now I know how Sasha Grey feels. I love you, baby. Okay, now what does that equate to? 500 miles of cock it runs through them, 6 to 8 inches at a time. Boom, beer me. Oh my God, this is so nasty and wrong. Anyway, everybody, this is freedarklist.com. Challenge accepted. Mathematically proved 500 miles with Mr. Right is totally plausible. And I measured out the gallons of cum. Edit that out. Nice, nice. Oh, God. Yeah, I told you, the visual thing is just going to put it up. Oh my God, that is funny. Dick by the foot. Oh man, I don't even want to go there and add up all the gallons of all the fluids between both people at once. And so. Oh, you got that spilling in my face? Oh, I'm going.